Chile has made wine for centuries, but it's only in the last 20 years that collectors are hunting down bottles from Chile to add to their cellars. Today, you'll hear Aurelio Montes Jr. tell the story of how his father pioneered a winemaking revolution and why you should be seeking the world class wines of Chile for both enjoyment and collecting. This is the Inside Wine Podcast. I'm Joe Janish, a certified specialist of wine and wine industry professional since 1996, giving you insider tips to make the right wine decisions. Aurelio, thank you for joining us today. Let's get right into it. We talk about Chile. 30 years ago, no appellation system, a dozen wineries, and now over 100 wineries. Appellation system is still evolving, but you have regions starting to get into subregions. What happened 30 years ago?
What happened? It's the evolution of any country that produces wine. When we start producing wines, we're talking about, 200 years ago, the main reason was to bring wine to the soldiers, to the priest, for the mass.
Right.
So it was a simple winemaking. Then we realized that our wines wasn't really good, so we start producing better wines. But for some reason that I don't understand very well, for many years, we focus into entry-level simple wines. And 35 years ago, there was two persons that decided to change this. Was mainly my father and Miguel Torres' family
From Spain?
from Spain,
Yeah.
that he decided to move to Chile and to start producing wine from Chile. These two guys, they realized that the quality that we had at the time in Chile was quite unique. It was much better than what people used to understand about Chile. So, as you said, in Chile in the 80s, beginning of the 80s, there was no more than 10 wineries that, again, focus in simple wines. And my father with Miguel Torres, they decided to start looking for specific vineyards in specific places. And that's the point when Chile changed completely the way of looking our winemaking. We realized that producing wine from the Central Valley to the Andes to the coast was completely different in a few miles, separate for a few miles. So when you get closer to the ocean, the weathers get really cold. When you go to the Andes, also get cold, not as cold as the ocean influence, but get cooler than the Central Valley. And Central Valley, we had so many different type of soil, weather. So Chile is small, narrow, long country, but with many mountains, many mountains. Everywhere you look, you're gonna find mountains. So also the way how the land evolved, we're talking about million years ago, is the type of soil that you can get in Chile. So now in Chile, you can really get different type of wine depending where you're planting, in terms of how close of the ocean, how close of the Andes, and also how the land is facing the north, the south, the east, the west. So that's why my father and Miguel Torres decided to go not one step, 3 or 4 steps over in terms of quality, because they realized there was so many places that we could produce good wines. And after that, of course, many wineries start looking to us saying, what are doing all these crazy guys, producing premium wine from Chile? Who's going to buy a bottle of a premium wine from Chile? So my father proved that the world was open for Chile, not only for the entry level, also for premium wine. And after that, many wineries joined to this adventure, and they start producing wines, premium wine from different places. And after that, we were obliged as a country to start talking about different DO or denominations.
Right.
So today we have, to be honest with you, I don't know how many, but could be more than 100 denominations, depending if you're in the coast, in the Andes, in the Central Valley, in the south, in the north. So all of them are separated, so you can get different styles. And since that till today, not only we grow in terms of free premium wines, we also grow in terms of amount of wineries. Today, there's so many new wineries with new philosophies. So in Chile, you can find the most craziest wine to the most classic wines. So it's for everyone. So if you're more inside of the natural wines, or you're more crazy in terms of varieties like Sanso, Mission, or País, you're gonna find crazy, amazing wines. But also, if you are the more traditional wine lover with Cabernet Sauvignon, Syrah, Merlot, even the new grape of the world that is Carmener,
Coveted.
that we're doing so well in Chile. You have to try Chile because you're gonna find amazing, amazing wines of that grapes. So we move from different places.
Yeah. It sounds like you're starting to discover the different terroirs of the land. You're starting to figure out which grapes grow where. Your dad was a big part of that too, right?
Definitely, yes.
I've heard a story about your dad planting Syrah.
Yeah.
Tell me this story because it's something that really I think has changed the whole mindset of Chile and terroir and the idea that you can grow things other than Merlot and Cabernet.
Well, in Chile, if you go back to the 80s when everyone was focused on entry level wines, there was mainly two grapes, Merlot and Cabernet Sauvignon.
Right.
Okay, mainly.
That's it. Yeah.
And then in the south of Chile was Censo, País, other grape that was used for really rich cheap wines. So with all this new move of trying to show a different Chile, my father was really excited about finding specific terroir for specific grapes. So he started trying new grapes. Today in Montes we have Tempranillo, Marcelan, Turiga, Tanat, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Alvarinho. We have so many because our DNA, is pioneer, is looking for new grapes in new places. And Syrah, at that time, we're talking about the end of the 90s, was a completely unknown grape, not only for Chile, for the world. I know that, the Rhone area is quite known for it,
That's
but
it.
most of the people that drink Rhone area or Rhone wines don't know exactly that is Syrah or Shiraz. And Australia at that time was also an unknown country. Australia was even smaller than Chile when you talk about export
Yeah. Right.
in the end of the 80s, of the 90s, sorry. And my father, after traveling to the Rhone area, he realized that the terroir, the soil, the exposition, the hillside of Chile was quite similar. So he decided to take the risk. So he planted the first Syrah ever in Chile, but not only planted, he decided to plant it in the first ever done, very steep, slow plantation that is 3 times more expensive, not only to plant, also 3 times more expensive to work with the vines, because of course it's everything handmade. And not only that, you need trained people because you have to climb. It's really steep. And my father was so convinced that that was the way to produce premium Syrah. And well, after a few years of researching, trying the grape, he realized, okay, we have something unique. And the funny story is that at that time, I was living in Australia. I spent 1 year working in different wineries, and I met Jean Duval, that used to be the winemaker of Grange. At that
Sure.
time, was the winemaker of Grange,
Yeah.
the most known Syrah from Australia. So we had a meeting with him, and we showed him the wine. And we asked him, "What do you think about this Syrah?" And he really was crazy. He said, "What? You have something here. You have something really special." So that was our last punch to take the decision to produce this Syrah. And of course, we have this beautiful Syrah, but we needed a name. We needed a concept to express this crazy evolution of the Syrah in Chile. And that's why when one of the partner, my father, another crazy guy, he met Ralph Steadman. For people that doesn't know who is Ralph Steadman is a very well known guy. He's illustrator. He is one of the guys that paint the album The Wall from Pink Floyd.
Hmm.
Really, really crazy guy. And he met Mr. Douglas Murray, the partner of my father. He traveled together in the north of Chile. He built an amazing relationship, both. And after that, Ralph Steadman got in love with Montes, got in love with Chile. And he has been painting for us because our label, half of the label is established label, and the other half we change every year with a different paint. And Rolf Stedman has been painting for 23 years for the Folly. And the funny story is that for free. He's really so in love with Montes that he paints for free. We keep him. We keep sending him a lot of wine.
Yeah, I'm sure he's getting something.
Exactly. We
keep
really
him happy.
irritate him. We keep very very happy with the wine. So we send him wine so he can enjoy and keep loving the wine. So it's an amazing story from the winemaking side. It's an amazing story from the labeling story, and has been a quite successful wine, really successful wine, unique. Has been selected many times in different magazines as a really unique and top Syrah from the world. So we're happy. It's a single block wine, so it's a really small production, but quite unique.
Yeah, how big is the vineyard? It's got to be a tiny vineyard if it's on the hillside like that.
It is for hectares. Not 100% of the hectare are used for folly. So our 4 hectares, very steep plantation. So we map every year the vineyard. So we took like the fillet of the vineyard, only for folly.
So this was inspired in part from the Northern Rhone, like the Hermitage.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. The only thing that people ask me all the time is like, Aurelio, what is the style of the folly? It's a French style, it's a Australian style, and I have to be very honest with you, it's a Chilean style.
Yeah.
It is spicy, it is soft, it's big, so it has a little bit of everything. But one of the things that describe perfectly Chilean wines are that spiciness that make the wine so crispy, so unique.
So what was the first vintage of Folly?
The year 2000.
2000.
Yeah.
And so now we're here in February of 2024.
Exactly.
How have the wines been aging?
We were very afraid of the evolution of the wine. We didn't have the experience.
Sure, yeah.
Because
brand new.
Brand new.
Yeah.
That's always the risk of being the first.
Yeah.
That you don't have any number, you don't have any information about how the wine's gonna evolve in the future. And also, we have been moving slowly from different style of the wine. At the beginning of the 2000, the wine was a concentrate, was big, was a blockbuster, was a big boy. That was the style of the wine that people wanted to drink at that time.
Sure.
Today, it's completely different. It's really elegant. It's still big wine because Syrah, it's bigger than Cabernet, it's bigger than Carmener or Merlot. But the acidity is so elegant. The wine is so crispy, fresh. So the first years when the wine was too big, the evolution was really good. But today, with the new style, the evolution of the wine is even much better. It's stay with the amazing color because of the acidity, because of the tannins, because of the condition of the wine today are more ageable, better for aging than in the past. So still, but every year I open all the years from 2000 till 2022, that is the current harvest. 21, sorry, is the current harvest, but 22 is still, now it's in the bottle. So every year we try all of them. And I can tell you that the wine, without any problem, aged perfectly for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's really, really. I'm not that patient to wait 20 years. But
I'm not waiting 20 years. Maybe I'll wait 2 years, 3,
yeah,
5.
exactly.
But it is still open and enjoyable. You could pop it open, right? I mean,
for me, that's the biggest advantage of Chile. That the wines, 90% of the wine that you're gonna buy is gonna be ready to drink today. If you want to age the wines, you can age it. Of course, if you want to age longer, you need to go to more expensive wines, more unique wines.
Yeah.
But most of the wine, let's talk about price, in between $20, $30, $40 a bottle, retail price. the wine's going to be ready to drink today.
Right.
You don't need to wait, not even 1 year. It is in the market, it's because the wine is ready to be drank.
Let's talk a little bit about those more unique wines, those more expensive ones, because it feels like right now Chile is starting to have a real moment. It seems like the really savvy collectors, the wine collectors and connoisseurs, are starting to look at Chile and they're saying, "Ooh, there are some interesting things there," and they're very quietly buying them and stashing them in the cellar. And it's a very interesting thing to see that this whole new evolution in Chile with the really high-end wines. So you mentioned Folly being one of these wines that can be in a cellar for 20 years. So I could see a collector being interested in that. What are some of the wines that Montes has, or I guess it's the areas, like the regions of Chile where you've seen, the same kind of a thing as a Folly, where like the terroir and the grape match perfectly and can create these amazing, amazing wines that the collectors are all going after. What are some of the other wines that you're looking at like that?
Since we started, Montes has been focused on premium wines.
Yeah.
So always looking up, looking
Right.
for I will not say perfection, but looking for the best terroir for each grape. So today we produce two types of Cabernet Sauvignon. One is a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon with the Cabernet Franc, Petit Verdot, Merlot. That is from Colchagua Valley. That's the Montes M. And then we just started a few years ago with a new project. Well, it's not anymore a project, with a new wine called Muse. That's 100% Cabernet Sauvignon from Maipo Valley, one of the most known and respected areas for Cabernet Sauvignon. We also have Purple Angel,
Of course.
one of the most known wines from Montes, and I
Yep.
will say one of the most known wines from Chile.
Yeah.
Inside of the premium wine, of course, there's other brands that are much more known, but in the entry level line. One of the things I can tell you about Chile, not only about Montes, I want to be very clear that if you look the magazines, the most known magazines, Wine Spectator, Wine Enthusiast, Gem Cycling, and so on, Chile has been improving strongly in the ratings of the wines. Today we have a few hundred points. We have, as Chilean industry, 99, 98 points. So for collectors that normally follow these magazines to understand how is the quality of Chile, take 1 minute, follow all this wine I'm telling to you, Montes M, Purple Angel, Folly, and the ratings all has been very high, very high. So it's a good starting point to explain that it's not only my opinion, it's only from the expert of the world in England, in United States, in Asia. And all these wines, let's start with the Cabernet Sauvignon, having two different type of Cabernet Sauvignon. That one is more a blend because it's 80% Cabernet Sauvignon, and then the rest are other grapes, the Montes M. It's a really classic wine. For me, it's a classic with all the personality of Chilean taste, with its spiciness, soft tannins. Let's talk about again ageability, huge ageability, huge. The same of the Muse of the Maipo area, complete different styles. The Montes M, because we have Petit Verdot, because we have Cabernet Franc and Merlot, the wine is stronger, beautiful tannins. So I will say really strong ageability. The Montes Muse, that's from Maipo Valley, it's even softer. I would say it's more feminine. It's really floral, also with some spiciness in the back. Really, really classic, beautiful, and I would say higher acidity, softer tannins. So it's a wine that also with a big ageability, but a little bit less than the M. Then the Folly, we just talked about the Folly, the Syrah, and one of the most unique wine is the Purple Angel. The Purple Angel has been a rock star for Chile, rock star for Montes. This wine always with amazing ratings and also amazing comments from the consumers. That's the thing that I prefer to hear. It's a wine that it's 100% or almost 100% Carmener. We call it national grape. For people that don't know what is Carmener, it's a Bordeaux grape, come from Bordeaux, but disappear in the 1800 with all the phylloxera pest. And in Chile, we have pure Carmener that we brought it before the pest, and we have been studying the grape. We have been looking for specific soils. Carmenere is quite a complicated grape to grow, really complicated, one of the most complicated grapes to grow in the world. That's why you can't find it in other places.
Nowhere. Never see it anywhere.
No, it's so complicated. It's so could be so unfriendly grape if you're not in the best place. But when you find the place, the grape is magical. It's soft. It's big in terms of really power, in terms of flavors, spices, black fruit, dark fruit. That's why we call purple angel, because it's so dark, so purple, that when you look the wine looks is charming. It's the latest grape to harvest. You need to wait really long into the autumn to harvest the grape. That's why it's so challenging, because you're always afraid of the rains coming from the wind,
Yep.
coming closer, but because you're almost into the winter when you harvest. And we added a little bit of Petit Verdot to make the wine a little bit more complex. And that wine has been really a rock star, because it's so drinkable and at the same time so complex.
It's interesting. The way you're talking about Carmenere, in so many ways, it reminds me of Pinot Noir in Burgundy, right? For so many years, that was sure everyone tried to grow Pinot Noir, but it only really was magical in Burgundy for a long time. It sounds very similar story.
Exactly the same, and exactly as complicated. I always say the most complicated grape to grow in the world, it's Pinot Noir.
Mhm.
Pinot Noir is really complicated. If you get too much sun, you burn the grapes. If it's too cold, you never ripe the grape, and then you have to be just in the perfect place. The soil, it's so important for the Pinot Noir. Well, and then the second most complicated, I say, will be for sure Carmenere,
Hmm.
and that's why both grapes are hard to produce in the world. It's that's why it's so unique from Burgundy, and Carmenere is so unique from Chile.
Yeah, every place has their grape, right?
Exactly.
The more you're talking also about Purple Angel, it seems to me like it's to Chile what Penfolds Grange is to Australia. And there was that moment when Penfolds Grange became the it wine, or whatever you want to call it, and everybody fell in love with it. And I feel like there are a lot of people that have fallen in love with Purple Angel, but it still hasn't like reached that pinnacle or whatever it is. Like, do you think that moment is coming soon, where like that watershed moment or whatever it is you want to say, where people are just going to go, oh, is it going to be Purple Angel that does it, or do you think it'll be something else that just really brings Chile to the forefront?
I think Carmenere and Purple Angel is gonna be one of the main actors of this growth.
Yeah.
Chile is an amazing country.
Yeah.
Everyone say that it's the Switzerland from Latin America. It's a safe country. It's a clean country. We're really focused on sustainability everywhere. We have huge national parks. It's more extreme, big rivers. It's a pure country.
Yeah.
But not many people know about Chile. That's our biggest problem, if you can call it problem, is that Australia, for example, it's known as as a wild also country, as a kangaroos are,
Yeah.
outback.
Crocodile Dundee.
Crocodile
the
Dundee.
movie, right?
Exactly, that make a huge difference, and we need that effort not only from the wine industry, also from the government, to start promoting Chile, because Chile, we have a unique style of food that match perfectly with our wines. We have landscape. We have, I would say, the second or third biggest snow fields for people that like to ski.
Mm.
So it's a country, perfect country when you think about South Hemisphere, where to ski. The best place in the South Hemisphere by far is Chile. We have an amazing place to ski. Even over a volcano, active volcanoes, we have a snow.
Whoa, really?
And you can see the smoke coming from the top of the mountain, and in the night you can see the red fire coming outside of the volcano, and you can ski there. So for me, wine also represent a culture. When I buy a bottle of, let's say, Burgundy, or let's say Tuscany, I travel to the place.
Mm.
I know it's not only the wine. when we're talking about premium wines, when you
Yeah.
buy a cheap wine, doesn't matter where it comes from,
Right.
it's wine.
Right.
It's a party wine. Let's go. Let's have fun. Good price with decent wine.
Sure.
But when you go for a specific and unique wine like Purple Angel, you have to travel to one place. And Chile, if you make me choose one thing to change, I will say we need to put all our effort, not only in the winemaking, also in promoting Chile as a beautiful country it is, the driest desert of the world, the Patagonian glaciers, the ski, the everything that goes together with the wine and makes a unique and specific a wine.
We need more people to go visit.
Exactly.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Exactly.
So you mentioned before how your dad and your family and Montes has always been pioneers.
Yeah.
What crazy thing is your dad and you doing now? What are you two doing now? What crazy things are you looking at?
Well, me as a second generation of winemaker, sorry, at the family, and in charge of the winemaking area today of Montes, I have a big challenge. My challenge is I can never stop. I have to keep moving,
Good. Keep going.
keep
Yeah.
going, looking for new places. Today, we are doing a few crazy things, like working deeply with Turiga Nacional. That's
Oh,
very well known
interesting.
in,
Portugal.
in Portugal. And we're doing an amazing job. Hopefully, soon you're going to hear a lot about what we're doing
Great.
with that grape. But the most crazy thing that we're doing that we planted in 2018 in the extremely south Patagonia area, in the middle of the undiscovered island, in the middle of nowhere. So only as an idea, you have to take from Santiago, the capital of Chile, an airplane 2 hours to the south. Then you have to drive and you have to cross to the big island with a big boat with a car. And you have to then, once you cross to the main island, you have to drive another 2 hours to a small town. And then you have to take a boat, a speedboat, for 45 minutes in the middle of the ocean to an island. And then you have to walk around 20 minutes to get to the vineyard.
This sounds even crazier than the folly.
No, really crazy. Really crazy. We're producing the first sparkling wine from the Patagonia. We're almost ready. The wine is bottled and it's going to be released in a few more years. Need to be aged in the bottle before we release.
Sure.
And it's coming so good, so crazy.
Champagne method?
Champagne, yeah, exactly. Traditional method. And it's a combination of different grapes, mainly we have from Pinot Gris, Pinot Grigio.
Uh-huh.
We have a little bit of Riesling, Gewürztraminer, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, because no one had any experience of that area. So we planted different grapes to know which one of them will be better. Today, Riesling are doing so well, Pinot Noir. But the problem with Pinot Noir, I have to tell you something funny. The problem with Pinot Noir is that because it's red and not white, beavers and parrots, they love it. So we have a huge problem with them. So we put nets. We, as a policy of the company, we don't kill any animal.
Sure.
So the guy in charge of the vineyard do something really funny. He put some trams, so they get some beavers.
Mm-hmm.
They put it in the boat, rolling boat. He roll the boat to the next island, and he released the beavers to the other island. The problem is that the beavers swim.
Yeah.
So
they find their way back.
Their way back. So, but it's when you open a new place to put vineyard, it's always you have these kind of funny things that you have to deal with.
Sure.
Nature, so
Well, maybe.
so that will be the two most crazy things that we're doing now.
So maybe you'll grow a vineyard just for the beavers.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So if it takes so much effort to get there, just to get to the vineyard, how are you going to get the grapes back and get the wine back? How are you going to figure that out?
It's crazy because we normally what we do, we hire a group of people that harvest the grapes in one day, and then we put it in the boat, and then there's a small truck with cooling system that receive all the grapes, and then they drive all the way up to the winery.
Oh my goodness.
So it's almost 2 days to get to the winery. But with the cooling system, the grapes get into the winery in a perfect shape. So it's not an issue. It's not a problem. Maybe in the future, we're going to build a small, facility to make the wine there, maybe. But we're still inside of the research program. Normally, before we release any wine, took us 10 years to really be sure that the quality is going to be good, that we can repeat the quality. This is very important because, let's say, when you play soccer, you can make a goal.
Sure.
Okay, so maybe in that game, you're the rock star. But to be a really rock star, you have to be able to make a goal in every game,
Right.
like Messi. Okay.
Right. Yep.
The same with the wines. When you find or discover a new area, a new place, making a good wine 1 year is not complicated. Making a good wine every year is the challenge. And that's when you describe this is a good terroir. So we're in that stage where we are trying to understand that if we're going to be able to produce the same good quality year by year. Till now, we have been making goals every year, but we need to wait if we want to be serious.
Yeah. Well, I would agree that Montes is definitely the Messi of the Chilean wine world.
Yeah.
All right, Aurelio, thank you so much. This was a really nice conversation. I appreciate you taking the time.
No, it's a pleasure. Always talking about Chile and, of course, about Montes.
All right. So I think, listener, if you haven't been there yet, you need to visit Chile and discover all of the wonder and beauty that is there.
Definitely, yes. You're going to love Chile.
Thanks so much for listening to my conversation with Aurelio Montes Jr. If you'd like to learn more about the wines of Montes, you can go to their website at monteswines.com. And because you listened this far, I have a special gift for you. 15% off your entire order at wine365.com. Use the code CHILE15. That's CHILE15, CHILE15. If you get there quickly, there may still be a few bottles left of Montes Folly, one of those amazing wines we talked about today. It's probably the best Syrah coming out of South America and definitely a wine worth adding to your cellar. Again, go to wine365.com, use the code CHILE15 for 15% off your entire order. And no worries, if you're driving or on the treadmill, you'll find all this information later in the show notes. I'll be back again in about 2 weeks. In the meantime, remember, wine is food. It comes from a place. Enjoy it responsibly.